Oh, for me? Thank you.
Well,
Yeah, I did do it right. Awesome. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, you beautiful tubers, for showing up here. We have the most beautiful tubers, the Broken Bakers. Going to be a special guest tonight. And I've got to say, I dig the t-shirt, the grifter thing. So in honor of Broken Baker, I did that. I don't usually do that. What's that? What's this thing called? It's the chat goals or whatever. The super chat goals. Some people put all the things. I put in there. I like all the colors. And I put in there, it said, tell people what you get. And I said, pictures of Baker in your inbox. So that's my grift. I'm grift Baker. Told you I was going to. All right. That was. We're going to start that off. So that way you'd understand Baker why. Miami Spice says, show me some Baker picks. Shane Reynolds says, I will kick off Super Chats tonight. Let's go. Hey, Shane Reynolds. That is still the coolest thing. And then, do you remember this? Do you remember? We'll talk later.
yeah, I remember I was in Tennessee and saw you get that.
Well, I don't want this interview. Well, let me just do one more here. I got 2 for 2. Let's get this party started. Thank you guys so much. And what I want to do is thank you, Broken Baker, for coming on here. I know that we've spent some time together recently. You gave me mono from all the making out. I want to take all that aside. I don't want us to talk into all the fun stuff and everything else we had here. I want to ask Broken Baker tonight questions as someone who admires the talent and the fortitude it takes to do what he has just accomplished. And he's got, what are you, like 17,000 subscribers now? It is
16,230, something like that.
We'll get you to 17 before long. And White Rabbit said, if there's ever going to be another Dollywood, you got to have. There's going to be another Dollywood next year. You have to have 10,000 subs. And I was like, how many do I have? But anyway, no, we'll get you to 17. I mean, dude, you have an amazing channel. You have an amazing work ethic. That I am, I will tell you that I am nothing more than just in shock and in awe of it. I wish if I had your work ethic, I would not be on YouTube. I'll tell you that right now. I would be. I don't want to say the bad things that come to my mind, but anyway, so everybody, I'm going to kind of hold off on saying hellos tonight. I will say hello as we go along. I see you guys. You guys know I got chat on both sides. I told Baker because it is midnight his time. I didn't realize what time it was because I don't work that way. So we're going to be on the short side of 2 hours. So Broken Baker, thank you so much for coming here, first of all. So let's start. Where'd it go? I just had it. I just printed this out. Hang on. I printed it out. We have a White Rabbit question. We've been working on questions, actual questions. And we're eating dinner, and she says that she wants to know when you first read about Karen Reed. So go back in time. This is 2 years ago. You were a small little boy in Denmark. You had about 2,000 subs, I think, if I remember correctly. Somewhere around that.
I probably had less than that. I can remember it was an acquaintance of both of us. Jeff Legal Vices, who's sadly not here anymore, was doing a stream. I randomly, because normally he streams when I wake up from my pre-stream nap. Because of the time zone, I go to bed at 1 p.m., gets up at 2 p.m., starts streaming at 3 p.m. And I just turned it on while I was going to the shower, and he had that picture of the arm, and I was looking at it, and they were talking about a car collision, and I told Jamie is kind of like I'm going to be Joe Rogan one day, so I have a Jamie. Can you pull it up, Jamie? I said, Jamie, we need to look at this pre-trial hearing. And she said, I don't work for you. And I said, no, please be nice. And she said, okay, we'll do it. And we started watching the pre-trial hearing. And there was a previous pre-trial hearing we then watched. And we were sitting there saying, that doesn't look like any car I've ever seen. And I think that might have been February 2 years ago. So my life has been Karen Reed for almost 3 years, 2.5 years of Karen Reed. And I tried to do the math earlier today. I am way over 500 hours on Karen Reed. 2 trials, every single pre-trial hearing. I'm probably closer to 1,500. So it's been.
Let's get this out of the way, because I did this last night. I did a 1 a.m. stream, and then while I was waiting for some stuff to upload, I sat in Discord and I was talking to people, and I like, let's think about like Baker. I was like, so my rudimentary math just very quickly went off. Like, you have to have 1,000 hours. I was like, so if you think about this, you work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, for 50 weeks is the average. I looked at it from a lawyer billable hours. So like billable hours, everything, you always have to have at least $2,000. If you want to be like a real gunner, you're going to that partner level, you want to get closer to 3,000 hours. And there's guys that they literally work 7 days a week just to do that, like especially your first year out of law school and stuff. So I started thinking of it like that. And I was like, okay, so let's say there were sometimes, so you didn't have her nonstop, but you did have, a lot of days of her. So there's like 60 days of trial time. Plus there's all this other stuff though. And I was like, you easily did 6 months full-time job with Karen Reed. That's 1,000 hours. But then let's go like this. I remember I had a professor, he was a legal writing professor, and he kind of got off topic one day and started talking about billable hours. He's like, billable hours. He's like, you gotta be careful, you gotta be good, and you gotta, because those are things that can get you in trouble. He said, but what is the billable hour? He said, if I'm taking a shower, I spend that time thinking about the case I'm working on. So my 15 minutes in the shower is 15 minutes of billable time. And we always make fun of, the shower thoughts, right? Like what the ideas you have when taking a shower. So then I started thinking, I was like, well, Baker, he's had that. He's had time when you're at the gym and you're thinking about Karen Reed, or you hear somebody else, or you're watching another video about Karen Reed. You start doing those multipliers, you easily have, I would say without a doubt, 2,000, probably 3,000 hours.
Yeah,
that's
because
a lot of time.
Yeah, but you don't, as as a creator, you don't like to think about it as a job. You're thinking about, well, I like to do this. I like to spice it up. If I start, I've written 3 books so far about the Karen Reed, 4 books so far about the Karen Reed case, children's-sized books. Just wrote another one today. You spend, how long it takes to make an intro. That's a couple of hours you use to make intros, make a music video. You go around right now. Apparently Jennifer Caffey Daffy is losing her mind. I might need to look into that and make fun of her tomorrow, mining some salt. People calling me, people inviting me on streams, I started doing during the first trial. I said, hey, let's see if I can do, because I felt in the LawTube community, which I'm not part of because I'm not a lawyer, But in the legal community, it's trial covering community, I kind of felt that we needed to bring back the Ricada panel shows.
Oh yeah.
And I took a chance, and I reached out to some people, and I was blessed by some great people saying yes, thank you. We'll join you, Brandy, Betterow, the Young Jerks, Burkhardt. One day, I will get EDB to remember me. She took my name, but she's not taking my
Well,
spirit.
you guys do share a name. You do share.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's the, like, you've been in my Discord, and I've listened to you for an hour talking about Karen Reed, about stuff I have no idea what's going on, but you're talking to other people that are in there, and that's what people don't realize is like how. So all of that for me, at my side of being a creator, all that's work. I mean, yeah, are you being paid for it? No, but that you're honing your skill. You know, it's you're practicing your oral skills, and you're telling a story to a different audience, and it's all part of it. It's a multiplier that at the end of the day, the only thing that I think really knows how many hours you've spent on Karen Reed is your chair and your rear end.
I started getting a compression sores on my left leg because I'm sitting on a high chair. It's like it's bar stool, because then I can get up and get down every time my legs get tired. And all of a sudden I was like, I got a rash, but it was because of the compression against because there's no padding on the chair. But again, I think if you want to be successful on the YouTubes, because let's be honest, there's a lot of people who started YouTube channels doing, you know, it from the Hales case, I know it from the Karen Reed case, because it's good content, it's easy content, you can just bring up the drama of the day. But as we talk about a lot when we are not sitting here being the baker and the expert, what's down the road? That's the thing we always spend just as much time about, like doing streams, talking about streams, doing cases. You have to sit there and think, okay, but I still have to keep my eye. Am I going to look into the Coburger case? Where's Courtney Clenny? There's the Microsoft case out of Tahiti. There's a lot of, and that's the thing. I think we are blessed with undiagnosed ADD or ADHD in some way, so we can have all our antennas out, but we still have that weird mind that just keeps it in there. So I don't study. I don't have to read a lot. I can just watch it and I'll remember it. That's a blessing for me. But I have to thank Sleuthy Goosey. I stole a lot of her homework because she has been amazing collecting all of this stuff. There's been this entire sub community of people who have been so generous with their time. And
I know what you're talking about, that community thing, and that's the thing that's and I hope that you don't. I don't think you will. I hope that everybody knows that, this is me speaking here. Baker he's a genuine article. Like he doesn't waver. He's not up there. Yeah, he wears the grifter shirt, some of that, you know, haha. But he's the real deal. So I hope you guys stay with him and you trust in Baker to take you down another path, another journey, just as exciting as Karen Reed, but with a different set of facts and circumstances. So White Rabbit, she also is here. Yeah, I'm going to change this off a little bit from like the content creator and your iron buns. I mean, he's, guys, no wonder the Broken Baker, he has a huge legs. He has huge leg muscles. He's always working out in the gym. And that's because he has to have rock hard buns to be able to sit this many hours. It's amazing. So this is my wife. She asked, did you always think that Karen Reed was not guilty?
Since I saw the first picture, yes. I have never.
It was all about the dog bites or the car.
Claiming they were a car attack. It was so weird to me looking at the injuries. And again, you know the story. I go look a lot pictures of people being hit by stuff. I look at a lot of Cellbrite reports as a juror in Denmark. So I feel like I kind of understand how to read. I've had cases of people being hit by cars, killed. They don't look like this. They don't have one single injury that's consistent with what I have seen. So to me, it didn't. I never wavered, but I also chose early on not to become a Karen Reed channel, if you can say that, and sit there every single day and say, well, she's innocent, she's innocent, she's innocent. I took a position that I have had on every case. There's a ton of rumors out there about who did what, did when. And I said, I'm going to only talk about filed in court depositions or arguments had in open court. I've had a lot of blowback, especially during the first trial, because I didn't go in and say who could have done it. I said cases about is not about who did it. It's about who didn't do it. And who didn't do it was Karen Reed. I have always been 100% sure she didn't do it. I, to this day, still believe if she didn't talk in interviews, like you said yesterday, no one could prove she had an OUI. But the problem is, you don't have to prove an OUI. As long as the jury believes it, it doesn't matter what the law says. And that's another thing a lot of people in the law YouTube community misunderstands. Because you can get all you smart lawyers. You went to school, you read a book, and you can tell me that it's unconstitutional to find her guilty of DUI. No. The jury can do whatever. The jury can stand up and say, we don't want to convict her. Bye-bye. Yeah, you can go to an appeals court. You can do that. Yeah. But no one's going to do that on DUI if it can come back and be a murder one or something. They put in their OUI to have a compromise verdict, get out of there. Very smart lawyer move. But I think that's the biggest misunderstanding that a lot of people have, that the law has anything to do in the verdict room.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't.
Well, okay. I'm going to answer this thing real quick, though. I saw this. Miss Jessica, welcome to the chat. And we don't care. We're not, my mods have bigger things to fry than whether you use all caps or not. So you're fine. You don't have to apologize. Just don't say anything racist against people from Denmark. So anyway.
And just to what she wrote in all caps, I didn't want to have the same thing said over and over. I have had the same thing said over and over and over in chat. Every time there's something happening, someone will come in and say, hey, did you see the new affidavit? I said, yeah, I read it an hour ago. 5 minutes later, Bad Dog will come in and say, hey, have you seen the new affidavit? I'll say, Bad Dog, you've been here for the last 2 hours. You heard me read it. Well,
this is I know exactly what you're talking about. And I had, this is funny. So last night, the Air India crash, there's a engineer that I watch and he's covering that. And he said, okay, we have more evidence out here. And I want everybody to pay very close attention, because what's happening is that as soon as another creator says something, you flood my chat with, oh, it's vapor lock. That's the newest thing. It was vapor lock. It was fuel vapor lock. And because this one person said it over here, he said, let's look at the facts. Let's look at the evidence. Let's get to it. And that's, I understand what you're talking about. When people, you hear something and it is natural human process to try to be the first to tell somebody something. Oh, that's a good one. We'll get to that real quick too. Wicked good. So with Karen, you had before you were talking about the constitutionality of it and stuff. That's something that I think that a lot of law tubers do. Law tubers, right? They throw a blanket analysis on everything. And I will tell you right now, Massachusetts, I mean, you'll hear me say this always about Massachusetts, Kentucky, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. They're common.
I know what you mean, because I've learned from the White Rabbit, commonwealths are hellholes.
Well, they're very different. They're very different. in America, whenever a case is west of the Mississippi, the law is a little different than it is traditional, your English style common law. And then anything that comes out of Louisiana is French. So, but all of these, you have so many people that just want to throw a blanket analysis on everything. It's not always correct. I don't think you get a good stream out of that either.
No, but that's I can see where they come from, because my selling point is I make funny voices and sing Aqua, and sometimes I cover a case, and I have picked up one or two facts, and I have a wonderful mod team in the background that helps me a lot.
You do, you really do.
Yeah,
really
I'm blessed. Even though Marissa has become really uppity, so
well, I still think Lesko is the better mod over Valhalla.
There's no denying that one.
That's a thing over there.
But lawyers have their law degree to sell it on, to tell you, well, I went to Cornell, and because I went to Cornell, I'm smarter than someone that went to Brown. I'm just throwing names out there. I don't know anything.
Yeah, exactly. Law's all the same.
Yeah, and they will sit there and tell you, well, the law and the Constitution, but the reality is, and they don't want to tell you that, because that's when the magic of being a lawyer goes away. Those 12 idiots, one of them just bagged your groceries at Walmart yesterday. The other one teaches your kids. And the last one, he had a job 5 years ago, and since then he's become really good at drinking Yingling. They are the ones who will determine what is the law in this state. And then, yeah, maybe it'll go to appeal. But in reality, I'm probably closer to the people who will decide a case.
Yes.
That anyone who went to law school. Hey, Yuli.
And that's a good one. And I'm glad that she said this right here, because that's a very good selling point. You are, if people, like you've been saying, like the lawyers are trying to make it on YouTube. They want to be law tube, right? You are jury tube. You know, you're the 13th juror.
That's what Brandy's channel
in some
is called.
states. Do I?
That's what Brandy's trial case. She has the podcast called The 13th Juror.
So she not cover states that only have 6 jurors?
No, she doesn't touch anything in Florida. But Mo called us laytube at some point, because
that's good.
Because there was all these people coming in saying, well, all these people who doesn't have law degrees shouldn't talk about cases.
Well, say that.
Well, it happened like a couple of years ago when law tubing became a thing. But look who broke this case. Aidan Carney.
Yeah.
A journalist blogger who used to be a school teacher. And then he started a blog actually broke some big stories. He's famous now for Karen Reed, but he broke some big stories about overtime payment scandals in the police department up there. The future is the Everyman.
Very. Let me ask you real quick, because you tell me Turtle Boy. So I know that you interviewed Turtle Boy. So that's an amazing accomplishment itself, because he's in the moon. He's so popular right now. A year ago, when Karen got what was it? It was a hung jury, right? Or was it a mistrial?
Hung jury on one count, but they didn't know how to fill out the other 2 counts, so that's why she had to go through all 3 counts again.
Okay, so hung jury. What were your feelings? So, because you're invested a year ago, you're invested in it. You got all the stuff. You've seen your channel. I'll watch your channel. We'll say like it had 2,000 subs. By the time it was over with, you were over 7,000, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I was closer to 10, I think. But yeah,
I thought
I died down since then.
No, I can't tell time. So anyway, okay, so 10,000, we'll say. By the time it's over, it was the first one. So, what were your thoughts when it came back hung jury? You thought, okay, that's it, it's over. I don't know. I'm asking you.
I thought that the jury got it wrong. I thought that, and when we heard from the jurors after that, again, Aidan had some of them on, and they sent letters in saying, hey, we actually did agree on some of it. And I was, hey, the jury got it wrong. I felt her defense did the wrong thing, focusing too much about the third-party culprit, because that gets a little bit in the weed. Who done what? Are we going to be Miss Marple?
See, I don't like that. But anyway, go on.
Yeah. And then we saw all of it, and then they brought in that ringer, Brennan, the special prosector, and he came in like a big old, I'm gonna give her justice, and then he just he's a good defense lawyer. He's a really bad prosecutor, and I thought that with his takes on it, because he's the guy who tried to get Whitey Bulger not to be called a snitch. That didn't work. I thought that when Proctor, the lead investigator, got fired because of his misconduct, I would have taken the easy way out for the Commonwealth, said, we still believe she's guilty, but because of the conduct of the lead investigator, we don't think we can get a conviction. Then you were a little bit pregnant. You still believe she was guilty, and she was not found innocent. So you could write both authors, but they wanted to go on with it. And I said it back then, said the defense will only get a better case. The state will only get a worse case, because now they have all your evidence. They have all your tricks.
Yeah.
They know from the juries they talk to, they hired a juror as a jury consultant as well. They will know, okay, the third-party culprit didn't land. They didn't buy it. Okay, we had this expert. There was a lot about a 227 phone call. Did it happen? Or a Google search? Did the Google search happen or not happen? And they had probably the worst expert. You know how it is to be an expert, in a case. But you need to sell it. Yeah. That's one of the things. You can be a really bad expert in your field, but you can be a really great communicator. And you want the good communicating expert. As long as he can defend the attacks from the opposite side, you want the guy that can put you in a headspace where you think, oh, that's how Google works.
Yeah. And that's how you were saying earlier about the DUI thing, or the OUI, they call it up there. That the 12 people said you're guilty. And it's that communication that is so important. You have to communicate to the jurors. You're not communicating to other attorneys. And that's what I think is lost on. That's why I don't like on trials. I always say I like the opening arguments, I like the closing arguments, but in the middle, it's just, it's experts trying. Now, it's fun when you see, like, who was it? Johnny Depp had that weird. Johnny Depp's expert was the good looking, very sure of herself,
Dr. Muffin.
Yeah. And then was Amber Heard's juror was the guy who looked like not Smeagol.
Dr. Brown.
Yeah. So when you heard that there's gonna be another trial, what did you think?
Oh fuck! I'm gonna spend a month with Valhalla again. No, I thought. That's
what I think. Everything every time I see a game, I'm like, oh, great, he's gonna come over and drink this.
No, I felt like I always say when I cover cases, there's always 80% chance you're going to be found guilty by a jury, because the state would never charge someone who's not guilty. So there's always an 80% chance.
Steve Gosney say.
Yeah. I thought that there was probably like a 60% chance Karen Reed would be found guilty in a lesser included. And that's before they put in the clean OUI. That's where I started out. I said, even though I wholeheartedly believe that none of it can be proven because that backstrapulation of the BAC is BS, I think there's 60% chance she will be caught on the lesser included because a jury would like to compromise. They will have 4 who believe she's super guilty, 4 that believe she's innocent, and 4 people in the middle saying, this is the lowest thing we can give her. Let's give her that. It's probably going to be like a year in prison, if that. Come on now.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be stuck in a room with no air condition.
Well, hold on. Let's go back real quick. You said you're like, oh, great, I'm going to spend another, whatever it was, with Valhalla. But when you hear that, because I don't know how you found out about it or whatnot, but it's like, I imagine like you open up a message, or you see a news article or something. Did you have? I'm asking someone who is you have a background in law in Denmark. You grew up in Denmark. You have an education from Denmark, and you're looking at probably one of the weirdest U.S. states there are for law. That's like, did that just kind of like, for me, I'm thinking like that just have to feel like a punch in the gut.
Well, I've been on American law time for the last 3 years now. But I'm
But
fascinated.
a retrial, think about that. A retrial, because that's just usually
you probably could technically get no, because we have split decisions. So you would just get, if this has happened, let's say my scenario, you would end up with maybe 6-6, or no, you would need a deciding, but the judge would be in there, and our system is different. At this level, there would be 6 jurors and 3 judges, and the 6 jurors have 1 vote each, and the judges have 2 votes each. So you would end up with some kind of hung result in the middle, but they will get appealed then if we have a split decision. We actually had a famous case. The first case I tried to do in English, which is really hard because we don't have photos from the court and stuff like that. A girl that was chopped in 273 pieces and spread in a forest. And that got hung in a way where all the laymen gave him life in prison. 2 of the judges gave him, I think, like 16 years, and one of the judges gave him 14 years. You could tell by the votes, because I know how many votes each has. And with the 6-man block saying full life, you knew that was all the jurors who saw it, because judges in Denmark is a little more, no, let's keep it down. We're going to get appealed. So we would have had
appealed.
Yeah, we would have a split decision in Denmark. So we don't have retrials like this, but we have appeals. I think we might have more appeals and faster appeals than you have, because you can appeal any case within 14 days. And remember, we don't have to go find money for an appeal. You just run on with your team.
Well, here's the thing though, like because it's not, I mean, like a mistrial, that's something like you've got to go back to the beginning and say, okay, are we going to charge her again? Are we going to do this again? And for me, now this is not, I did not follow the Karen Reed case. I'm more interested in it now that it's over than during it, because I don't like getting caught into the little details and spider webs of things. But for me to think that's like, it seems absurd. Like, how bad does that have to be driven? Like, at some point, because this is also the state is a politician, right? They get elected, and you gotta be sitting there thinking to yourself, okay, the people really did they do polling data? That's one of the questions I would think. Well, how did you come to the conclusion you had to prosecute her again and prosecute for such a long time? Because I'm under the opinion that if you have a good case, if the state has a good case against you, it should be like 3 days, maybe 5 days max. This is 2 years and 60 days or something like that.
But that's because Massachusetts has a 1-year rule. That's why Bev was pushing so hard to get started by April 1st, even though we were waiting for the last expert analysis of certain facts in the case. And I like that you have that 1 year, because I covered the Karen Rentala case. That took 11 years to get her 17 years in prison. So she had 2 hung juries. That's another thing. If you get 2 hung juries, how can the state? Well, we'll just try again until we find 12 people who wanted to see it our way.
Dude, that was one of the things, like, you hear about those, and you hear about, like, yeah, they can, but they don't, and that's when it's I don't know, the whole thing's weird and shocking to me. What was on the current case, on this year's, because it's still fresh in memory, besides a verdict, what was, do you have a favorite moment of the prosecution? Do you have anything that you thought was the prosecution did good? Do you have anything, or do you have something that you think that it was just goofy and made you laugh? Something that was like that high, the thing that you will always remember the prosecution did.
Well, I didn't have many highlights because I was biased against the prosecution. I like that they changed their strategy, but the problem is the prosecution was never in it to find Karen Reed guilty. They were in it to protect the McAlbert family. So
Ooh.
I think the highlights were all the stupid things that their witnesses said on cross. They had a witness admitting she lied to the FBI. They had a witness admitting they lied to the grand jury. And then the special prosecutor just gets up there like, yeah, who hasn't lied to the FBI? His constant sliminess, I welcome ARCA. I don't fear ARCA. Next day, he files a motion to exclude ARCA. There's some, I don't think during the trial itself, there were many moments where you thought, oh, good one. That really hit home. That made the jury think, I thought that was a smart move by you. But there was a lot of those times where you're sitting there thinking, you have prepped these witnesses so much and you didn't get ahead of this, because you know how it is. You know, okay, we're going to find the text messages where you write your friends, I'm looking for nudes on her phone. We better get ahead of that one. They know that our star witness lied to the FBI. We better get ahead of that one. And I would say that the prosecution, their best moments were tactical. They were not the moments where you said, oh my God, that was a singer. They really got that home. The defense had a lot of them this time. I actually think that Adam Lally last year, who I thought was a bubbling idiot, did a better case. They had their own meteorologist testified that there was no snow almost when they found John O'Keefe. Last year, we thought there was a big mountain of snow covering him.
Yeah.
And now
the
they called
defense had that?
No, the state
Oh,
brought in a
the state
weather
did.
guy who
Oh.
said there was enough snow to track a cat. There was below 3 inches of snow.
Yeah.
So they as I said, the best man on the defense team was Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan. He did most of the work for the defense because he was so bad at his job. And he will fleece the taxpayer of Massachusetts for at least $500,000.
So let me, on my question, and I want to bring this up because I saw.
Oh yeah, Tofu
Yodel's
Brain was a good one actually.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, but I know like Yodel's here said something that I've heard other people, and they've brought this up, and I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about, but it was the was it the Blue Man or whatever? What was had the BA degree but didn't? Yeah, the
no,
blue
that was
painting.
the Blue Man. The Blue Man did have a degree. It was the other guy, the guy who said, well, I can tell you when the text stream data links up with the phone data so we can give you a timestamp, which was totally bullshit. It was just, well, we think these two things are the same. We just take some random data points.
Mm-hmm.
But that guy was pursuing, on the 17th year, was pursuing a degree from the same university that MG went to in Alabama. Not
was this
Go
guy
Dogs.
on a baseball scholarship?
No, because he's pursuing a degree that school has never had.
Oh, okay.
But he put it on his CV.
Yeah.
And he had it was so weird to see in live commentary while we were covering the case. Marissa and Jemima was sending me updates that they were actively changing their website from the company because their CVs all of a sudden had a watermark saying not for trial blah blah to make them what do you call it, confirm them as experts. They had watermarks over their bios on their website, and they changed their degrees on their website. And I was sitting here because you know how it is. You have the StreamYard here, and then you have your Discord here, so you can see what the mods are writing.
Yeah.
And I was sitting here thinking, this is ridiculous. In live, perfect time. You're sitting.
Changing stuff.
This guy is testifying how he's pursuing a degree and he had to take care of his family and blah, blah, blah. Well, don't write it on your CV, you idiot. And I could sit and see, he claimed he never did, can't remember, it's some data analysis or something. That was on his CV. That was actually one of the last courses he had done. So, but the Blue Man he got 400,000 to prove that John O'Keefe was hit by a car. And how did he do that? By driving a car backwards 2 miles per hour and then leaning down so the paint would be smeared the correct way. And they claimed that's worth like 400.
That seems like, and I wish I saw that part of the trial. Is the guy that, so you have to find somebody who has the exact same build and height of John O'Keefe. You got to put paint on them, right? Which seems weird. And then you have to find a car that's the exact same make and model and everything else to have the right height of stuff. And then you have to run into, and it's just, it shocks the conscious. It seems, what that sounds like to me is something that elementary school students would come up with on a playground.
And actually,
childish.
It was childish. And we had ARCA. ARCA is a company that works for NASA, NFL, and NHL. That's the company that looked into the Challenger accident. And what they were paid like $50,000 for the defense. They were paid a whole lot more from the FBI because the FBI was looking into this case as well. And then you have Aperture, a company that sent a guy who claimed he had a degree he didn't have, and a guy who painted his arm blue, and you can see how he ducks down and puts his arm forward so it could match up with the tail light. And he never ever tested if the injuries could occur because he never did any of the tests that you need to know if you're a biomechanical engineer. But they sold them like the same, and he was given 400,000. That company was given 400,000, and they bought a high-end Lexus 570 LX 2021, and they asked, so what's happening to that car? Well, we're going to sell it on and then recuperate some money for the Massachusetts taxpayers. Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone who works for Aperture just bought a Lexus 570 LX for $5,000.
Let me ask you, right? Let me ask you this. So what about the defense? Did they surprise you in any way that you weren't expecting something to happen?
Yes, they took it away from the third-party culprit. They were way more streamlined, and they added Bob Alessi, kind of the weird-looking man when you saw him the first time, thinking, what the hell is this guy? Who had the mind of a savant. He was amazing. Yannetti is, what would I say? He's one of those guys. I'll make this go away kind of lawyers. You had AJ, who is the loudmouth. Hey, I'm going to get in your face. And then you had Bob Alessi, who had all the facts. And he read the book so he could prove what he was saying. He was the one who asked, hey, did you know that the car ride on a Lexus is adjustable? And they had... we forget to mention her.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
We forget to mention her a lot. Elizabeth Little. That woman, those two were my all-stars in this case. They had every piece of paper you needed. They had the exact page you need to go to because Bev was fighting them every way she could. And then those two would just sit there and say, hey, page 525, line 7. Oh, okay. She still ruled against them, but It's in the books that they knew exactly what they had. Those were the best people, and I think that they changed up the Emmy and brought in. I can't remember. I always think it's Billable, but that's the one from the other side. Chad will beat me now, but they had a really good ME who could sell the goods. They chose better expert this time around because they had some not so great expert in the first trial. They got a little too much into the weeds, but this ME she was first class, and funny enough, she had worked for the special pro sector 4 or 5 times before. So when he was standing there trying to discredit her merits, they went up and said, "You tried to hire her." "Oh, I never did that. Never did that."
Yeah, see, that's another thing I don't like about the expert stuff. It's because like it's always like they'll come in there and say, "Are you being paid by the defense or by the state?" And it's like, "Where did you go to school? And how much are you being paid?" Because that's that narrative they're trying to input into the jury, and it doesn't matter. What matters is, are they correct based off their educational experience background? Let's go, Brandon. I didn't know you were a Beatles fan. He says that Lennon says, "Give me a tuber and I'll get you some blue paint out of it." John Lennon, "I am the walrus." Is that right?
Choo-choo-kidoo.
I don't understand that song. I'm an Elvis guy.
I don't understand Yoko Ono.
Well, she had an opportunity and she took it and she thrived from it. John should have stuck around with the Maharishi.
I'm just, when you and I become big YouTubers, I'll promise you, if you ever end up with a Yoko Ono, I will split up the band as well.
White Rabbit's not Yoko.
No, she just looks at you weird. She doesn't scream.
She's my Priscilla.
Yeah, that's better.
Even after death, she was still there for him. Let's go. I agree with you. In general, experts are worthless. You can take the S off of that too. Okay, so the defense, we've gone through that, and I realized while listening to you, you are so educated about this topic. You know it so well. You truly are an expert on Karen Reed. My question is next is, so how did you feel? How it was you, as Mo, as Valhalla, and you had to wait like 3 days after the defense rest? How did you feel at that moment? Did you think, "Oh, they did a good job," or did you just sit there and think to yourself? Because I'll tell you honestly, and as someone who's not emotionally attached to this, when I heard the defense rested, I got a little sick feeling. I know it's weird. But it's just I had to remind myself to have faith in the system. So what did you guys think? What was going through your mind?
Well, I'm Scandinavian. We're not that emotional, so we're more
You like to remind me that all the time.
Yeah, and I'm when it ended, I thought there was no way they could come back. I said it. She would talk herself into an OUI because she admitted on tape that she was drinking, and people saying, "Well, the BAC level was bullshit." It doesn't matter what the BAC level, if it was 0 or if it was 0.5, it didn't matter. She said, "I was drinking. It was weird, a weak drink, so I had to spike them." That put in the mind of the juries that she was drunk that night. So I always believed she was going to get found guilty in the OUI. And I could not see any way you could end up with second degree. And if you didn't have second degree, you couldn't have leaving the scene. So I was sure that we would get not a quick verdict. I thought we would be landing around 6 to 8 hours for a verdict because I thought the case was so clear, but I also had to take myself out of it and saying, every little weird detail. You know all the stuff from case 1 that wasn't used in case 2. So I actually wrote the mod team on, was it Tuesday morning? I wrote them, if we go beyond 15 hours, I'm afraid of a hung jury. And at 11 hours, I said, I expect we get a verdict at 11 hours. At 11 hours, we got the first questions. The first question clearly showed us we had a jury that had agreed, but they just need to find the right compromise vote in the lesser included.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was sure we were going to end up with an OUI and not guilty on the rest of it. But I think I went on with Tom CPU and Mike, Boston Mike, because a lot of people get very, very emotional connected to certain cases. And I turn off my TV, I'll think about it, but my life would go on even if she was found guilty. Sad, but that's how it is. I was very emotional and invested in the Zachariah Anderson case, but I still get up every morning, even though he was unfairly convicted. So I was on with them and tell them, hey guys, relax. We're gonna end up with an OUI. The jury has had 32 days.
Yeah.
They won't find a verdict within 2 hours. And I think 18 hours, which is okay for a case this big.
I have I agree with what you're saying about, hold on, let me take this back. So about her, what do they call it, an OUI? What you've said, everything you said about it, I agree with you on this case. And I don't want to go into that too far because I have my own separate opinion about that. Has nothing to do with what's happening in her life, the reality of Karen Reed, or anything else. That's where I would like to go down the path of constitutionality and stuff like that. But I do that because I have always found, as someone who doesn't drink, I have found DUI law to be fascinating because every question is a constitutional question. So it's the only time you get to do criminal and constitutional. And if you look at lawyers in America, you'll see DUI attorneys and they don't do anything else. That's all they do. And it's amazing. It's an amazing field, and it's a specialty and all this other stuff. So that's not something that, like, I mean, you and I, we could sit here and we could talk to the cows come home about it. But I do think that that's something that this is the part, going back to what you said, it's not law tube, it's I called it jury tube, but it's you have to realize how people act and how people think, and you don't want to leave the court without, I mean, it's been proven that jurors think that, a lot of them think that, well, if you weren't arrested, you're guilty because you got arrested, and a lot of jurors, they feel like they've accomplished something by returning a conviction instead of an innocent. So yeah, it's a weird thing, and I think it's probably the best outcome for her to completely get the state off. Now, say off her back, not to get the state off her back. Now, this is my first time I'm going to interject my own opinion. When her attorneys said, we want to go ahead and do the sentencing now, I was shocked. Because in my brain, I'm thinking, okay, look, they're not being paid for this. Like, that's not part of their thing. It's over with. But I thought it was personally, this is a personal thing. I'm stepping out from interviewing you and just saying that I really thought that was the best courtroom tactics I've seen. Probably the thing, because you have the whole eyes of the world were looking at them, from heaven to hell. And everybody turned and said, so what are you going to do? It didn't give the state another week to think of something that might be vengeful. I don't know what the max sentence is and all this stuff. Right?
2.5 years, $5,000 fine, and
2.5 years.
Yeah, but again,
In
That's where
jail or probation?
2.5 years and 2 years probation, $5,000 fine, and I think can't remember how much
So
your
that's the
license will be
max.
suspended. That's the
That's the
max.
max.
But
they were, I think they were taken off their game when the defense turned to them and said that, and they just went with the thing that they say for everybody. We'll
Yeah.
just do the standard. Because Bev even says, she goes, oh, so the standard?
Yeah.
You know, or however she said it. The usual. Oh, so the usual.
And that's the thing, because when people saw the OUI, they were, first of all, everyone kind of got in their heads and said, oh, the state can't blame her. The state didn't put the OUI in. The defense did. That's the first genius thing in the deliberation. Give them an easy out compromise, because as you said, the jury want to accomplish something. We spent 35 days here. We listened to Bev say, hey, jurors, we've been here for an hour today. You've been working hard. Let's take 5 days off. See you next week. Mama's gonna drink. Yes, she said that almost every day. So they want to accomplish something. They want to show they did something. So give them a BS OUI that does. I'd take OUI over involuntary manslaughter every day of the week.
Yeah,
But,
right. Trust me.
But
yes.
throwing it straight back at them with the world watching again. Had they had a week, Bev could absolutely not, because she's very, very proper judge. She couldn't say, hey, I'll effing give her a month in prison if you ask for it. You ask for a month in prison just so we can get her for a little bit. They looked at her, said, we just want what everyone else gets. And she couldn't do anything. There's sentencing guidelines. There was a lot of people, because when the OUI came up, they were like, oh, she's going to get 2.5 years in prison. No, she's not. That would be appealed before Bev had finished that sentence.
Yeah.
And she would be knocked down. No one would ever get 2.5 years in prison on an OUI, when the standard is the first 2 OUIs in Massachusetts is normal misdemeanors.
Again, I mean, I could. This is what at some point I'm just going to start screaming about all this stuff. It's like there's no the chain of evidence is completely broken. It's completely farce. The way to think that was ever evidence to be put into a DUI. And I actually want to go back to because there's a Tennessee case. Did you ever? There's the Tennessee Titans are an NFL team. And their former quarterback was Steve McNair. He got pulled over in Nashville for DUI, and his case is a fascinating opinion about how DUI is done in Tennessee. And I was thinking, I was like, let's take that and then kind of compare and stuff. I mean, it's so absurd. And to think that they would max out is the same thing. I think it was. I think that was a win that was the only way they could save face. If that's a win. Real quick here, because I don't want to miss some of these. Bad Duck, of course, said that as he's a new gigolo and he has the same policy as gas station that you pay before you pump. If you go to a gas station around here, you don't have to. You just wave at Ronnie. He works inside. Up here.
Yeah, his cousin can fix your dental work and your tires as well. So Ronnie's a good guy. I had a molar.
I've had some dental work done. I think I trust Ronnie over it. Wicked Good. Ask the question that's on everybody's mind. What's your next case?
It'll be the high school stabulation out of
Texas.
No, not Texas. Was it Texas?
The race one?
The Raoul Valley. It started this week, but I'm gonna start it up tomorrow because they have Juneteenth off.
Is that
Happy Juneteenth?
Is that the one where the guy told the dude to move and he said make me, and so he stabbed him?
No, it was.
Oh, okay.
I think it was 2 high schools meeting at the same party, 2 groups of men and boys. And they kind of got into it, and someone pulled a stabulator over some spilled beer or stolen beer or something. I've just watched parts of it. They have it on video. There's a lot of stupid young people Raul Valle, I think was the name.
I know a guy in high
College,
school that died
Idaho.
fighting over the last beer. That's sad.
Valhalla would get in that situation if there was no beer.
Fighting over the last beer? Well, maybe.
So I'm going to catch
Letting
up with that, and then we'll go live with that Monday. The next big case, a lot of people are mentioning Koberger, but Koberger, I haven't followed it along. I had Yo-Yo on to tell me about it. He is an expert in that field. And so much has been kept under lid. Valhalla is sleeping at this time of day. It's been kept under lid, so it's hard to get into. I've looked a little bit on it.
Koberger is that was the last true crime that I did. And so it's weird for me because it's like I sit there and I was like, I had the box wine experience with him, right? And but the case thing, man, it seems very weird what's happening. I've been following Yoli and Lost Souls, both of which love you. If you ought to, and you got a great platform to have both of them on. If you ever want to do that, you could, because it could be a huge case, man. People love it. They love it.
Yeah, but it's going to be a huge case. There's going to be a lot of eyes on it, and there's way more that had looked into it, followed already. I can, of course, recommend Yo-Yo, and Andrea Burkhardt has covered a lot of it. Can I just answer Jinx, because she asked me about Corey Richards?
Oh, I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
I'm still afraid about the Sinclair group because they hit me with a stupid strike that even though it was illegal, YouTube upheld it because they're a bigger party than me. I want to cover the Corey Richards case. It's really interesting. I covered some of the pretrial hearings, but Sinclair Group owned the signals previously. Marissa has been trying to get a permission to use their signal. They can't legally deny me the right to use their signal because you can't own a court feed. That's public. That's what Law and Crime found out of with Nick Recator back when they tried to strike him. But Sinclair Group, even though I spent 2 hours talking to YouTube, showing them the law of the state, I wasn't allowed to do it. That's why Arizona is a fake state. And Proctor wasn't in the Birdsmore case. It was Fanning. Proctor wasn't the lead investigator. I said it wrong this morning. Sorry.
I think it's funny that a lot of people want you to stay in Massachusetts.
What? Sorry?
I think it's funny that a lot of people want you to stay in Massachusetts. There's several other cases there I've heard people say that you ought to look into and stuff. And I'm like,
I have 3 cases right now that I found doing this. You have the Eduardo Garcia case, the guy who was unalived as a police cadet in a training accident. They sent a special prosecutor to try and find out what happened in a police training facility where somebody claimed they stomped the shit out of him, and other people believe he just fell and had an accident. Does it remind you of some other things just happening in Massachusetts? Then you have the Birdsmore trial. It's a federal trial, so it won't be televised. But
yeah, I heard that there's some Diddy things today. I'm like, I don't know anything that's happening. Let me start going.
Let's go looked into it today. It's horrible. They groomed a 13-year-old kid who was a police cadet. Reading the text they found, which the Massachusetts police missed 30,000 text messages between this a-hole that got swept out by the FBI and his murder victim. 30,000 text messages where he writes how he wants to her and treat her like she's a streetwalker. I'm saying the feds, because everyone is talking about the feds going into the Karen Read case. I think they were looking at the Birdsmore trial and then accidentally fell over the Karen Read case. I don't think the feds don't care about a simple hit and run. They looked at the other one because they got him on the fun one because he did it on the clock. So that's a federal crime because your money, your paycheck travels across state lines. So if you're doing something bad on the clock, it's an automatic federal crime. They have used that against a couple of police officers now.
Yeah.
And
That's
Brandon
another case
keeps
I just thought
yelling
about.
the Giglio Beach. I haven't heard
Oh,
about
is that
that.
the New York serial killer? There was a guy like over 20 years. He was like a accountant or something like that, and all these girls kept popping up, under, half buried under the sand. And then one day, he is literally, I saw the video of it. He takes a bite, his last bite of a pizza, throws the crust into the trash can, and investigators go up behind him and pick that piece of pizza out of the trash can and get a DNA swab and link him to this case, to these women.
When is it going on, and is it a state case?
It's been going on for like a year or so now.
Yeah, but when is it? Normally, I don't do this. Karen Reed is special because I normally don't do any homework. I'm going to pick up that case tomorrow. All I know is there was some teenagers who got into a fight.
There's okay. Let me tell you what this case. If it's one that White Rabbit just told me about, there are like specials on it on like Peacock and stuff like that. So it's gonna be very carried. You need that. You need that easy. Just you walk into trial. The Gigolo Beach or whatever it is. That one is.
Well,
it's gonna be big. It's because it's a white collar, that whole thing, and then killing all these girls.
And Brandon just invited me to stay in his beach house. He doesn't know what I bring with me when I go visiting.
Yeah, he brings snakes.
No, I bring the coof.
That's true. He's a biological weapon. Okay, there's a question about the Camry. I was going to ask you at the thing. I know the one thing, the question I had last night was, what do you think Camry, was it last night? It was the end of the trial?
You had on last night, you did your breakdown of the DUI and why it was unconstitutional.
I didn't talk about that, did I?
You did that last night.
I talked about it. No, I was.
You did a stream later about Shizzy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one.
You did one around this time because I watched it when I jumped off Discord because I couldn't sleep after it. You know you get hyped on
days. I know. But yesterday was when Karen Reed got innocent, right? That was yesterday. Not the day before. It was Wednesday.
Yesterday, Karen Reed was.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. So my question was that, and I put this on Twitter. What do you think Karen Reed did last night?
I think she cried. I think she sat down and cried with her team because it seemed like they had built a good unit. You know, there's always we're a great team, but I actually think the way they acted when she was found not guilty, you could visible see them just. I think they had a good cry. I think they had a good dinner. I think I hope she learned to stay a little bit away from the sauce, but I think she had a maybe a martini and wished everyone. Said thank you to everyone. The thing, and that's actually one of the sad things. I saw his picture this morning. John O'Keefe's dad is the only likable person in his family I've seen in court so far.
I've heard.
And I actually wished if she could have done it and they could have done it with her, because during the coup, she was actually the one taking him to church. I wished though they could have gone to church and prayed for John's soul. That I think, even though she hates the rest of the family, I actually think that in her heart of hearts, to help this old man who's probably on one of the last few steps on the ladder. I think she actually, because I think she's genuinely a good person, I think she would have wanted to go to morning mass today and prayed with him. I that's just when I saw the picture of him. He was treated so badly by his family, and I actually think she would wish she could do that. That's the thing I thought about what she would do today, and I actually think she would go pick up John's dad, take him to church and pray for John.
Hopefully she stays away from that house, though.
Well, they don't live together anymore, the mom and dad.
Sad part. Yeah. Do what?
They don't live together, mom and dad, anymore. They haven't done for a long time.
They were still together. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they are technically. I hate Peg O'Keefe. Sorry. I know grieving mother and all of that. I feel sorry for her loss, but taking the stand and she disparaged her husband once, where she said, "We've been married for too long," and Mo kind of laughed at it, and Valhalla was like, and I felt that's such a weird thing to say. You're here to sell I'm a grieving mother. Then she said, "We've been together for 42 years, way too long," or something like that. And that's why I lost everything for her.
Yeah.
Because the first one, I'm a cold asshole. I didn't find it funny. Mo and Val kind of joked a little bit, but when she repeated it, it just showed me
funny
what kind
in
of person.
court. It's funny sitting around with your friends at a bar or something like that. It's not funny in court.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also that brings up another question: will you be covering the civil trial?
Civil trials can't be covered, really.
Okay.
I don't know if it's televised. Maybe I would probably try and get more coverage of the Aiden case. I haven't really covered that. I would love to.
He has a trial coming up, doesn't he?
Yeah, he just had one that he won for breaking his RO with the fake victim.
Mm-hmm.
There's Krusty Panties. She has a few violations of her RO that has to go to court. I would love to see if we can get some Zoom feed. I will be whipping Jemima and Marissa to help me with that, because do you know, you should never wish ill of someone, but some people who have spent so much time hating someone else, you don't mind seeing them fall down the stairs. Did you know Jamie pushed Brandon down the stairs yesterday?
Oh, really? Oh, you know what? She gets that hip going, man. I could see him getting flung. I
don't know what Jamie is like that.
Well, she's a Badger. Isn't she from the Badger State? Hey, do you mind reading the chat real quick? I heard something I need to check on real quick.
Well, go check the dogs. I'll look at the chat. I can't pull it up, but
2 minutes.
I'll read to see.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Give me 1 second.
Janice, have a great night. Thank you so much for being here. Aiden's next hearing date is July 7th. Thank you, Lady Tammy. I will keep that in mind. They'll televise Turtle Boy. I think there might be a chance they're going to drop some charges against Turtle Boy. Some people choke on chicken bones. Just saying. Yeah, and you had a president once who choked on a pretzel. It can happen to everyone. Okay, he's gone. Tell us all a good story about the expert from Dollywood. Well, it's hard because the expert is actually behind the scenes. He's not this squirrely. He lives in a different time than I do, because I get up at 7. He gets up at 1. But he never ever make an appointment with him saying we're leaving at 1. Well, make an appointment saying we're leaving at 1 if you want to leave at 3. But he's actually one of the good ones.
I was up every day by 10 o'clock. And I was up to 2 o'clock or so at night. All I asked for was 7 hours sleep. Anyway, you guys hang on real quick. So the other day, Brown Dog, I heard this big, huge crash, right? I was like, what is going on? I go in. Brown Dog had gotten wrapped up in I had the old laptop charging, and it was in the bed. And anyway, he got wrapped up in the cord. And he pulled the entire nightstand over. So I hear a big crash out there, right? My wife. She didn't fall. She didn't do anything. She's just like trying to make this place look presentable. So anyway, sorry about that. Thank you so much, Baker.
And for those who asked like an hour ago when I mentioned it, it's Connecticut. CT, that's Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they call it the Preppy High School murder trial. That's the one I'm going to pick up tomorrow.
Oh, that'd be a good one. I don't know what it's about, but Connecticut and Preppy, man. Was it
Well,
AC Slater and Zach Morris got into it?
he plays the same game as those weirdos in
Duke.
American Pie. We need a stick and a net because we can't throw a ball.
Yeah, the Duke. Duke. It's lacrosse. Duke lacrosse.
It's lacrosse. Yeah.
Lesko was on the team. Hey, Michelle Russo, how you doing?
Yeah. I heard that he
Lesko
played.
was a Duke lacrosse player.
No, he wasn't at Duke. He was at North Carolina, I believe.
It's all Duke to me.
I don't know where Duke is. Yeah, Duke is North Carolina.
Okay, you know where Georgia is, right? Like that's supposedly
On my
where
mind.
Shizzy's from. So it is, and you take the last train to Georgia, or the midnight train to Georgia, and it's a fictional county, Hazard County, and that's where the Dukes are.
Oh,
But there
yeah.
is a Hazard County, Kentucky, but I don't know if the Dukes are there or not. Thank you so much, Michelle Russo. Okay, so
Can we just admit that Jessica Simpson probably wasn't the right Daisy Duke? Well, she looked good, but her acting abilities are as good as my lovemaking abilities.
I turned that movie off and gave the DVD away.
Yeah, that was a horrible movie. Something jumped up my undercarriage. She has the same southern accent I do.
And she's from like Louisiana or something. She's supposed to be southern.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, Michelle's going to New York. Oh, there you go. So I told you they ran around the same circles.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. That was a terrible tragedy. Let's see here. So is there anything...
I just add Jinx? Jinx, I'm not going to cover Laura Owens. I have a very good friend, MG Law. He has been covering that for a long time. We don't stream as much as we used to do like a year ago, where we streamed every morning and no one ever slept. But we try not to cannibalize each other too much. And he's kind of been the Laura Owens guy in the group. So I'm going to let him have that crazy biatch.
Well, he needs a little excitement in his life too. What would Baker today say to Baker 2 years ago?
Get to the gym, you fat fuck. Do you know how fat you're getting?
I think Baker 2 years ago would say that to Baker today. Let's go.
Well,
how would you change anything about the way you handled the coverage of this? Okay.
I think I've said this a lot of times. I never dwell on the past, because if I changed something, I wouldn't be here where I am today. A lot of people said that, I'm divorced and it wasn't a long time and I got 2 kids. And everyone said, don't you regret that? I said, no, I have 2 wonderful kids. I have a wonderful grandbaby. I wouldn't have had that if I changed anything. So I have that mentality that if you go around thinking, oh, I should have, then I could have been a millionaire, then I could have had that big break. But why go and say, I could have changed a ton of things and everything would have been better? Because that means you're not happy where you are. And I have since my mom died and I got really mad at God, that turned into both physical and mental problems for me. So I thought, you have to fight against this negativity. And I've done that. And I tried to become a person who, even though I am naturally, I'm a very angry and very hating person. If you get on my bad side, I will hate you forever. But I've when I was 40 years old and my mom passed away, and I got mad at God, and it doesn't help yelling at God. Your mom is not coming back, but you will wake up every day being miserable. And I chose to start working on myself and say, remember her, remember the good times. You're not getting her back. You couldn't change anything. So if you go and think, I should have changed this, I should have changed that. Oh, if I just reached out to this person earlier, if I had taken that chance, I could have been massive in the YouTube community. I could have been big in the... you will always live with regret. If you don't go to that, learn from your past, but don't live in your past. That's kind of my mentality. I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. I took the chances. I took the punches. I got the scars. I got the glory. I can't change the world. I can't change. Oh, I can't change the past. So I shouldn't live in the past. I'm where I am. I wouldn't change one thing, because if I changed one thing, I wouldn't be having this interview with you right now, and I wouldn't be where I am with my channel, with my life right now, if I changed that one thing. A butterfly flapping its wing in Japan makes a hurricane in Oklahoma, which is a state on the west coast of America. So that's kind of my life mentality. I don't live in the past. I don't dwell in the past. I learn from the past, but I would never change one thing in my past.
My internet went out right when you became a butterfly.
That's a Schmetterling in German.
A butterfly is?
Yeah, Schmetterling.
Oh. Well, okay, so you would not change anything else. Here is something, and I would be kind of goofy about it, is and I think this is kind of like a creator thing, and we've kind of talked about stuff like this before. Have you spent the time to look at chairs and thought to yourself, that's the chair I want? I know, guys, I'm sorry, Chad, but this is like, I do want to end this with Baker kind of talking about like what it is, because a lot of people, they come in, the first time they'll be like, I want to do YouTube. What's it like? And I was like, well, Baker, what's the first thing we always say? Got to have a good microphone. Yes, you can do it on your phone, but your phone's not enough. And then I think a chair is my thing. What about you?
I would say I actually looked at a chair yesterday while I was on Verdict Watch, because I have a chair. It's an IKEA chair. It's kind of worn out. And I have this one that has no padding on it. Oh, I'm looking at a new chair, but the problem is all of this, hey, you got to buy a Razer Supermax Jim Job. It'll work. Every gamer chair I've ever seen, or every recommended chair, feels like sitting on a piece of wood.
You sat in my chair. It sucks.
Yeah, even though it's for big guys, it's not a good chair to sit in.
Was it 450-pound weight capacity, I think, on mine? I mean, I got the biggest chair I could, because I knew we'd be sitting here. You're sitting there a long time. You have dogs jump on me. Like rabbits going to come in and sit down. Something like that. It's always, yeah.
Yeah, and so if you want to be a YouTuber, be yourself. Get a good mic, and get a pair of buns of steel or a good chair, and don't be afraid to reach out to people. That's probably, if I can say something about the Can Read case that I really like, is I have gotten a lot of chances from people, and I feel like I have given some people some good chances. I've talked to some people that I actually think you should talk to, because they are good up and coming names, and you're really good at interviews with new people. So I'm thinking that that's the good thing about the Can Read. I built a lot of networking.
I'm amazed with the panel shows you put together. I'm amazed with is so much. And real quick before I forget this one, I think at this point I'm just gonna start saving money now for the Herman Miller. Is that supposed to be that top of the line chair?
I've heard a lot of people say you have to have the right one. One of the things you have to be careful is the backs on them shouldn't be that good. But Herman Miller, it's supposed to be the great ones, but I've heard my brother had one, and he sold it after I think like 4 months. You have to go sit in a chair, because we all think, oh, I'm going to buy this that I saw on YouTube. And it's some 80-pound guy who sits there and say, I didn't feel anything as I was floating on a cloud. Yeah, my fat ass will probably feel different.
Yeah.
Just get a giant yoga ball. The giant yoga ball is not good because you're going to slouch on it. You're not going to do the perfect posture like you think you will.
Well, you remember Rosalind though? I mean, man, she's a hottie, dude. She's a little gym bunny. Okay, so like she can sit on that yoga ball. My yoga ball, I gave to Valhalla to go play with the goats, and it's still sitting downstairs, by the way. And
so's my kids to the White Rabbit, not the White Rabbit, to the Valkyrie. I've said many times, go out and get it. Oh, they're sick. No, you're just lazy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He scheduled a Lego stream for 4th of July. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess Valkyrie will be coming over. And then all of a sudden he realized that, oh, yeah, 4th of July, we have a big party.
I think he's a communist.
He is. He is. He wants to go play Legos in Sweden. So, well, the chair thing, that is kind of a funny thing. I wanted everybody to know that, but it's one of the things where it's like, yeah, I've got to get a swear jar and start putting money into it, but then I have to carry cash. But anyway, that's the thing. And
the thing I've noticed with yours and Valhalla's, they creak a lot, those gamer chairs.
Oh,
I have a cheap ass $100 IKEA, well, less than $100 IKEA chair.
Oh, it does have a creak.
Yeah, but when you lean back on it, it's just. But I have like a cheap IKEA chair that I bought 2 years ago. It's spent again. I spent a lot of hours on it with my fat ass. So I'm going to buy a new one, and I might need like those pressure release pillows. I have one of those right now, but just a cheap one. So I need to go sit in some chairs and find out.
I like them. And this is mine is Razor, so it's made for the chair, and I'm always throwing it in and out, man.
I have.
Oh, dude, I hate that. I've had like 5 of those. I threw them all away. You know what I said on? Sheepskin, like 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 an old like 70s Pitmobile has a sheepskin covered thing. I got a sheepskin thing for a car, and that's what. Yeah, you saw my chair. That's what I'm sitting on, and that's been the best thing I've had for it. It's just, I hate all stuff. Yeah. Hey, look at this. D-What. Right there you go. I'm not fat, but still gamer chairs are terrible. And they even try to say to you that like, oh, it's meant to be hard, so you stay aware. I'm like, well, it makes me want to quit playing. So let's see here. Was it the chair thing? Karen Reed. There's something else I thought. Right there before I went back. I said, I'm gonna go back to the chair. So I want to get that out. And now I can't remember what it was.
Someone is recommending a footrest. I have a footrest.
For your chair? Oh, on the floor. Do you ever use it?
Cheap one, IKEA, $20.
I don't have that. Like those things are like there's one in Atlanta.
Yeah, but you can order that online.
Yeah, I'll go to there's a where those things, an office store here. There's a custom office store. I'll go to it.
Just get what Nick uses. Yeah, what chair? He bought one like a year ago.
Yeah, but his is satanic one. It has like devil horns on it or something.
Yeah, but he's Swedish. Everything over there has to be satanic because Sweden means devil in Nordic.
I think it does. I'm not making that up. It's crazy.
When I flew in from Finland, I woke up and I saw Mount Doom and I saw armies of trolls running around. I thought I accidentally put on the worst trilogy in the world, The Hobbit, but in reality, I just saw Sweden. I got scared for a minute, thinking, "Oh, I have to watch 10 hours of this shitty movie," but I'm just passing Sweden.
Oh man, I thought about you when I was sick. I put in Lord of the Rings because usually I'm like, okay, it's easy. I can sleep. It's 10 hours per movie. And I couldn't even make it through 30 minutes. I was like, I can't. I ended up listening to radio programs, old radio programs. Is there any advice you would give, since we were talking about microphones and having a chair? Is there any advice you would give to somebody who wants to do a big stream? They're like, man, I love court cases. I think they're so fun. I want to do this. Do you have any advice for that person?
Don't, because it's a lot of hours. No, if you like and you think you can make it interesting, because a lot of court cases will be a lot of hours spent just sitting here pulling something out your butt when they're talking about what school did you attend. So what is DNA? You have to be entertaining a little bit, but try looking into it, and don't become me. Don't become Emily D. Baker. Don't become Andrea Burkhardt. Become you, because there is a ton of people out there, and there's a ton of people who likes to watch cases, who are just looking for that funny, quirky little chat they can hang out in. I'm not the biggest. I'm a small, average, 180, 250
You cake or death.
people watching, and and a lot of people say they like my community. They like that Brandon always give lectures about how the German train network worked in around 1938 till 1945. A lot of people really appreciated he did that yesterday when a lot of German people came in to watch my show. And they like that we have a little bit more of a funny approach to it, but always be yourself, because people out there can feel when you're not yourself.
Yeah.
We always turn it on when we go live, but if you're fake, you don't gonna make it. And don't think, there's one called Twisted Tragedies who is anti-Karen Reed, who always sits and begs for money because I can't make the payments for StreamYard. You need to pay me to stream. There will be a lot of days where you're sitting with 2 people, if you have any people. All of us started with 0 people, and then we got lucky. And always don't be afraid to ask someone if they want to come talk to you behind the scenes. They like the Anne Frank jokes as well, yeah, about her shower habits.
Well, real quick, look at this. So Rosalind Duke says, start grifting, ding dong. You're off target. Rosalind Duke, I appreciate that. Of course, I'm sitting here with Baker. He's got a shirt on that says grift and all stuff. But don't you worry, Rosalind. You might know a guy that will get you those Baker pictures sent to your inbox, whether we hit that target or not. I love her. God, she's so great. Here's the last Karen Reed question. All right, because I told you I'd be under 2 hours. We're an hour and a half. I thought we'd probably be wrapped up by now.
2:15 in the morning my time. It's not like I couldn't need to sleep. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Last question. Now that it's all said and done with, and it's all in the history books, will you reach out and ask if Plevin wants to come back on?
That's where we actually started about an hour ago. I have told Marissa. Marissa is my booker. She's also head of talent. She's head of yelling at interns, head of distributing new beagles to Brandon. She has a lot of roles in my company. I told her yesterday, get me Plevin, get me Krusty, get me Twisted, get me Doink. What does she do? She just said no.
Krusty the Clown, Doink the Clown.
Krusty Panties is Kate Peters, an absolute moron.
Sorry.
Doink the Clown is Wendy Murphy from the Duke Lacrosse fame. Her son, who is a big watch his streams, and you know what ADHD looked like. He's a big idiot, and he looks like Doink the Clown. So I named him Doink the Clown back like a year ago.
So Marissa said no.
Yeah,
is that what you said? Well, yeah. Marissa, she needs to. We need to send her a straw, and she can punch it. You can use that the bladder of the wine box like a Sunkist, and she needs to chill out, because I think another you and Plevin would be great. And I'm not making fun of that. I think that, because I have a question. Like, the first thing I would say is, after seeing everything, Plevin, I know we had our differences in the past. We did our okay, that's over with. Let's be true to our fans, and let's have this question answered. After seeing everything, has it changed? How do you feel now knowing that Karen Reed's innocent? I wouldn't give you the opportunity to say, has it changed your opinion? I'd say, how does it feel now knowing she's innocent? Because she is. we can't second guess that. I was telling Baker right before this, no matter, it shouldn't be divided that O.J. Simpson was innocent. He was ruled innocent. He's innocent.
Yeah.
But Karen Reed is innocent.
I
think you should have him on again.
Look at Jemima. She starts threatening me too.
Where's Jemima?
Jedi Jess.
Oh, I don't know your little pet names. No, you won't. You'll embrace him. He's a good guy. He needs help.
Yeah. He just grifted the wrong side because, again, it's easier to be a big, stupid fish in a little pond than being a small, smart fish in a big pond. You have to be a comedian to stream trials. You have to have a personality, I would say, because...
I don't know why anybody listens to me.
Yeah, but again, we did what? 18 hours of Verdict Watch this time. If you don't have the gift of the gab, if you don't have an ability to kind of do something, shift all over the place, you'll just sit and watch 18 hours of Verdict Watch saying, yeah, remember the first day when that guy said, hey, it's going to be a little boring and people will feel bored. So you need the gift of the gab if you want to be a live streamer, I think. That's why I don't do much recorded content, because I'm not good at doing research and be smart. That's more for other people.
I'll tell you what, I watch other people's streams or videos. And I'm like, God, how do you do these great videos? And I'm sitting there, I can never do it. I'm one and done, man. I'm out of there. Real quick, so let's go, Brandon. We got a new bed in the Beagle. Did you know that the Beagle was Valhalla's one? He had a Beagle, and that was his favorite dog. It was the greatest dog ever of all time. And then I noticed that Lesko goes on to say, it needs to mark every bed. And then he said,
yeah, well, it's because he's getting a new. Marissa has a new Beagle for him, and he keeps saying, "No, I don't want it because the old one is peeing on everything, chewing on everything." Yeah. But it just needs a friend.
Lori Wallace says, I think Verdict Clock said 20 hours, 43 minutes.
Could be. Again, my record is still 38 hours. So that was before I watched other stuff while we were sitting there. Me and Jamie was just talking for 38 hours.
Crystal, thank you. I don't see either of you doing a scripted video. You both are just are great at just coming in the moment. I've been with people that they have to do a script on everything, and they really freak out when you change the narrative, which is how I do everything. Let's see here.
Well, I can do some. I do write a script when I do my funny videos, my dating videos, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do write a script for those. Yeah, I made a character. Like the old VHS videos.
Kurt did that. Matter of fact, I take it back. It wasn't Kurt that did that. It was Fair and Balanced. She, I think, was the one that made the video. And those of you that do know Farron, I just found out today she was in an awful, awful accident and is in the hospital right now. If you find her on X, it's she's in a neck brace and her face is all I mean, it was an awful accident. She's very lucky to be alive. And also so please, if you know Farron, or if you don't, please send prayers her way. Fair and Balanced, she's used to be a YouTuber here with us. I think before Baker's time. And then there's also I got an update on Alyssa Clips, and she appreciates everybody's prayers too. So she's always been very, very nice to me, and I appreciate her. She's another good person. And I tell you what, man, Baker, you do something. I can't do it, man. I'm not a trial person. If you ever need somebody to come in and tell jokes because you're falling asleep, holler at me. But I cannot sit there all day and do all that stuff. I've done it before. I did it with your business. That was a very personal one though, and that because it was weird. Yaya, it was her. It was she fed your business as a little girl.
Yeah, her son's childhood
friend is her brother. Yeah. Oh, it was that was a weird stream, But anyway, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing your talent with us. I'll go further, even though I wasn't going to talk about it. I want to thank you for coming to Dollywood, coming to Tennessee. You are the bright spot. The spotlight's on you, my friend. And I am not jealous. I am not anything like so many other people are. I love seeing you succeed. When we had Dollywood last year, y'all, Baker had the smallest channel, I think, of people that were there. This year, he has the biggest channel. If that's not a testament to the work he's done, I don't know what is. Please, I have his link at the top. If you're not subscribed to Broken Baker, please go check him out after this. And make sure you're still subscribed to me. I appreciate it. I'd like to, like I said, the White Rabbit says we got to have 10,000 before I can go to Dollywood next year. So, Baker, the floor is yours, my friend.
Well, always a pleasure when we do these things. Normally we do the Friday Night Lives where there's a little more, it's more fun time. This time it's a little more talk. Am I right, people? The expert should have more interviews. He's really good at doing interviews.
People don't want to talk to me, man.
Well, people want to talk to you if you just give them a chance. Get Marissa to book them. Get Plevin on.
Tell Marissa that she can rage quit you over Plevin and then come over and help me out. There you go. No, yeah, tell her to get Plevin for me. I'll talk to the guy. I'll be like, yeah, man, Baker. Let me tell you about him. He does not smell like yeast.
He gives you the coof, and he's really mean, and he snores. No, but I like these little tete-a-tetes we have, and I find some of the most entertaining stuff you do is when you have guests on, because you make everyone blossom, because you're good at making people feel at ease, and that's a talent in itself. You're always picking up the rest of us, saying, hey, how great we are. I just have a fat butt and can sit in a chair for a lot of hours. Shizzy just has a weird mind and can talk a lot. But in reality, you have the best talent, because you can make everyone around you shine. And
it's because I just
no, but
in your mind, everything around you is sparkly.
But it takes a certain talent to make people relaxed and ask good question without it being, hey, the expert, why are you called the expert? Is it because you are an expert? Those interviews are kind of boring, but you're good at picking up from chat and bringing it to a personal level. So thank you so much for having me on talking about this one. Who is Marissa? Marissa is my mod, who is also my head of acquisitions, hiring, Brandon, Beagle delivery.
She's a very fluid job.
I have a low entry level into my business and a very, very low pay structure. No one gets paid. So yeah.
I don't grift swoop.
What's grift swooping?
I don't know, man. Let's Go just comes in here and mess with me. I'm the only person on YouTube that pulls up Let's Go's chats without super chat. And I'm like, yeah, man, because I think he's cool. It makes me laugh. Listen, brother, what you got?
I want to access. I get comments almost daily. Why is Brandon a mod? I can understand the super chats, but why did you pull up that one about the dead hooker in the backseat when he's not paying for it? Because Brandon is effing funny. Really That's why. Brandon is probably one of the funniest people. He's misunderstood. He really didn't mean all the stuff he said about Priest yesterday in my chat.
Listen, like, let's go. And since we're talking about all this stuff, he's one of those people that y'all in the chat, you don't realize, like, there are so many people that watch this show and watch afterwards and all this other stuff that they read the chat for you guys. You guys are what make this show. And that's why I'm always like, you're the co-host. And Lesko's one of those people, man. And when Baker's tired and I'm tired, you look over and you see a Lesko zinger and you're like, yeah, man.
And it's always fun to try and figure out who is Lesko in the chat. I think Arca's chicken gun is Lesko.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Yeah, that's a good point there. I tell you what, after Dollywood, man, I thought there was a dead hooker in the trunk. And I don't know why, man. My breath tastes like cat litter. Anyway, listen, man, I appreciate you being on here. Everybody, go check out Broken Baker. Tomorrow night is Friday Night Live. The Volstorm and Diva will not be there, so it may just be White Rabbit and me, and she may get sick. As last week, so it might just be me. But Broken Baker's always invited. And anybody, if you know anybody with talent, there's a lot of openings. I was trying to replace everybody with midget wrestlers during Dollywood, but you know, we all got sick, so we're able to do that. Anyway, thank you, Broken Baker.
I think you should tomorrow go hard for having a pure female panel. I know Valhalla will cry.
Well, he's not here because he's mad I didn't invite him.
Oh, but
I'm sure.
Get Yo-Yo, get Iris, get Jamie, get Mo, get Ralphie.
You know, the good thing about having Iris around is that she'll sweep at what she's done.
Yeah, but when she's on panel, I think Iris, imagine having Iris and Brandon in the same room. I think the world would implode. They're crazy, both of them.
Or like a new species of baby might be invented. Like I think Iris would get Let's Go pregnant.
Yeah. She but I think tomorrow Ralphie is in chat right now.
Is she? Where is she? Where's she go?
I was tending to my vegetable garden and made it back just in time for the end. Thanks for the stream. That's where she is. She's one of your mods. You should be able to see her.
I don't see her. There she is.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. She's a hottie too, just like Rosalind. Did you see her? Did you see the guns on her, man? Holy cow.
Yeah.
That girl could throw a bell. Hey.
That's why I wanted to keep my sleeves down. Because I'm not showing guns around these ladies.
I was like, yeah. Man.
Oh, you blocked expert. I understand why.
Oh, yeah. Blocked me? Yeah, I understand that too. I do it as well. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And guys, everybody, make sure you're subbed up, loved up, thumbs up, and put your hands together. Put a bunch of orange hearts in the chat. Put some muffins in there. Put some loaves of bread and everything. Because right now, well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do that sweet, sweet dance of love.
Well, I woke up to go get me a cold pop. And then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life. And then the smoke got her. I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Well, I woke up to go get me a cold pop. Then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Jesus, 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 it's a fire. Oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus.